Now, finally, let's come to to know what is organizational behavior. Remember what was our name of the chapter? It was like, what is organizational behavior, right? So now let's see what organizational behavior means. Now, organizational behavior, or OB, it is the study of what people do in an organization and how their behavior affects the organization's performance. That means organizational behavior tries to explore what actually people do in the organization, what they do, how they react, what type of activities they undertake in the organization, and how their behavior affects the organization's performance. Now, this whole organizational behavior study is based on intuition, systematic study, and EBM, that is evidence based management, which is the result of systematic study. Now let's see what is intuition. Now obviously intuition, you already know the meaning of intuition, right? Intuition means my sixth feelings, my inner sense, my gut feelings, my common sense, and etc. Now this gut feelings, common sense, it actually comes from individual observation or the experience that I'm gathering throughout my journey of life. What is systematic study? Systematic study means while taking decision, I will try to find a connection with the information that I have collected for that decision. For example, suppose in order to take decision, I have 10 information available with me. I will try to link the information with each other to try to find out a pattern, to try to find out an evidence, and then I will take the decision based on that study. Now, these two, intuition and systematic studies, they are not against each other, but what they do, what do they do? They actually complement each other so that we can predict human behavior in organization. Now, obviously, when we use the term systematic study, we actually mean that we have to look into the relationship. We need to compare and we need to find out the cause and effects of those information and relationship, and based on scientific evidence. That means whatever information I'm gathering, and based on the information, if I'm taking decision, those decision should have some evidence that someone previously has taken the decision based on similar kind of information, so you can proceed further. Now intuition is like, you actually need to know when to go with your gut, now when to go with your feelings, when to go with your common sense. Now if we make all decision with intuition or gut instinct, obviously we are likely working with incomplete information. That means in order to complement your intuition, you actually need to rely on systematic study as well. Now, the result of systematic study is evidence-based management. Now, what is evidence-based management? Evidence-based management actually says that whenever you're actually basing your decision based on some evidence, that evidence has to be the best available scientific evidence. That means in some a systematic study, it says that if you are taking decision based on some information, those information has to have some evidence. That means you need to back up your decision based on some evidence. Evidence-based management study says that those evidence should be latest available evidence. For example, in order to take decision, I have two information, one from 2010, one from 2019. Now if systematic study, if I'm applying systematic study, I can use any of them. But if I'm using EBM and applying EBM on my decision, I need to select the latest one, that is from 2019 one. Okay, great. Now let's see this question. Can you answer this question? What do you think managers should do while taking decision? What do you think? So just look at the millions, like they are saying like, I don't know. Do you know? Just think for a while. What do you think? Do you think that managers should take decision based on systematic studies or intuition? What? Well, the answer is while managers should take decision, they need to complement or incorporate both the intuition and systematic study together. Why? Because intuition comes from experience, observation, remember? And if I'm talking about a managerial position, of course that person has a certain level of experience. He has observed so many things in his career. So obviously if he complements his intuition with systematic study, that means the available evidence, of course the decision would be a solid one. That is why a manager should take decision based on EBM or systematic study and intuition. Now let's see big data. Now we all have heard the term big data, right? This is a very buzzword for nowadays. Now what is big data? See the picture? It's a good one, right? Now the big data is, it's the extensive use of statistical compilation and analysis. In order to predict human behavior, we actually use big data. Now companies like Google, companies like Facebook, they are actually using big data. Now let me give you one personal experience. So before this pandemic take place, I was actually looking for good vacation place in booking.com. So after searching for several days in booking.com, just a random thought, I was looking at Greece, I wish, Bali, Switzerland, whatsoever. I'm just exploring. Now after exploring those things in booking.com, whenever I'm logging in Facebook, those type of advertisement was popping in my newsfeed, and I was like, whoa, how Facebook knew that I am looking a vacation, I'm looking for a vacation, I need a break. This is how actually Facebook is using big data in order to predict my behavior. So this is how this big data things is working. Big data has thousands of data together. They have large statistical compilation. They actually analyze those things and they actually try to predict the human behavior. Now in organization, big data has implication for correcting management assumption, and this is how they actually increase the positive performance outcome. Now with the help of big data, managements actually try to predict the outcome, that what will happen if I take this decision based on some big large amount of data. Now can you tell me what can be the limitation of big data? What can be? Obviously, don't you think that this is an invention in my privacy? They are actually invading my privacy. Of course, there are issues of privacy, right? For example, here I have given an example. An experiment in Brooklyn, New York, has been designed to improve the quality of life of residents. But how did they collect those intensive data? They collect those intensive data from cameras, CCTV cameras, sensors, smartphone, Wi-Fi signals. Now, don't you think this is kind of like breaching my privacy? This is actually interfering in my privacy life? Of course. So these are the limitation that actually big data has. Now, another limitation is big data is actually trying to predict human behavior, which itself is unpredictable. Big data, the human behavior is totally unpredictable. Just because I was watching or I was searching some holiday destinations in booking.com doesn't necessarily mean that I will go. Maybe I was just passing my time. So that is why big data analytics actually cannot predict human behavior that well. And that is why our instinct, our observation, our experience will always take over this artificial intelligence in human resource management. Why? Because human itself, human being, they are itself they are unpredictable. So how can I predict their behavior with some artificial intelligence if I don't have that kind of experience? So that is why it is known that management is more than the sum of data. So this is the limitation of big data.